Is it time to stop being so mad about X-Wing 2.0? Welcome back, everybody. I'm Baer, if you don't know me, and today we are going to talk about X-Wing 2.0, specifically all the things you have to buy to continue to play the game that you played just a few months ago. And if you're not familiar with the situation and you're more of a tabletop war gamer, not necessarily the pre-paints or the X-Wing or any of the FFG stuff, and you're like, what are you talking about, dude? Why am I listening to you right now? Well, there's a big hubbub out there because a lot of folks are upset that they have to purchase what the FFG calls conversion kits to continue playing their X-Wing miniatures. They don't have to buy new miniatures. They just have to buy these conversion kits that come with all the punch cards and all the extra war gear cards. We'll just call them war gear cards, but that's not what they're called. Equipment cards to actually keep playing. But once they do that, then it's good to go. They've got everything they need, only need to keep up with the future expansions. And that has some folks upset because out of the gate, they would have to spend several $100s to first off buy the new starter with all the new rules, which I'm sure you will be able to download the references from FFG's site at the get-go per the norm with FFG. So technically you don't need to buy the starter, because everything else is the same. The asteroids are the same, the tokens are the same, the dials are not the same, but you'll get those in the conversion kit. The ruler is the same, but everything else that has changed will come in the conversion kit. So you technically don't need to buy that, but if you played all the factions from Imperial to Scum to Rebels, and then the First Order, of course, and all that, well, there is a little bit of a price tag attached to it, and that has some folks upset. Now, I've played the game. We're lucky to have the starter here. We have the conversion kits too. We're digging through all of that and kind of coming up with some talking points and some unboxing points for all that. But I wanted to jump on here because I have to admit, I was a little apprehensive at first when it comes to X-Wing, but I'm really enjoying the way the game plays now. Now, we don't know points, and that's one of the points that we're going to make in this video, is that I think X-Wing is actually changing for the better. Now, this is a picture of some of the conversion kits, not all of them, from Gen Con, and this is kind of the first time we've seen the width and girth of what actually comes in these conversion kits. Look at all those cards. I can't do a pointer on a picture, unfortunately, but imagine on the screen right now, you see a pointer scrolling up and down, doing the John Madden squiggle over all of those stacks of cards right there. You get everything you need. You get all the punch cards, you get the pilot cards, you get the upgrade cards, you get everything you need picking up these conversion kits. And from going forward, you'll only really need to keep up with future expansions. It's kind of like a one-stop shop for your miniatures. Now, to just kind of put this into perspective from a Games Workshop point of view to FFG, of course, if you are listening to me right now on our channel, you know we cover a lot more of the tabletop wargaming, the hobby side of things, rather than some of the FFG pre-paints, but we've been covering more of that lately as we go along. Now, Warhammer 40K 8th edition just changed over about a year ago, and right out the gate, we as gamers, we didn't have to buy anything. We could have continued to play the old version, but we as tabletop wargamers playing Warhammer 40K had to first buy the new rulebook. There was a free 8-page download rulebook from Games Workshop, but don't get it twisted or whatever, however many number of pages, you still needed the rulebook itself, and this was $60. It did come with a bundle deal that you could get with some miniatures in the starter set, and that was great, and that was, some value and stuff like that. But overall, you still had to buy the rulebook. There was no free download like there is with X-Wing. $60 right there. Then our conversion kits was a series of books here, one attached to my paint palette, called the Indexes, all of which are for the most part right now, depending on what faction you played, are obsolete. 1 year later, these books are effectively obsolete, except for a few units in 3 factions right now. Genestealer, Cult, Space Wolves, and Orcs. So those books right there, technically wasted money because the codexes came out. Oh, and in between those codexes coming out, we had to buy chapter approved. Okay, so how much is that? Well, I think that was like $40 too. So we're approaching $200, if not over $200 right now. Then when our codexes came out, sure, we could have bought one faction codex, but most armies contain multiple factions. So to continue playing my Imperial Guard, which I love, by the way, before everybody else jumped on that bandwagon, I needed the Guard Codex, $35. To continue to stay competitive in today's environment, I needed a Blood Angels Codex, another $35, or excuse me, $40 US. To play Knights, maybe I want to switch it up and play Knights, or maybe I want to Ally and Custodes, who knows, they're both really cool and really dope models, another $40 each. Just to have the rules, not counting miniatures, to play right there. So while I realize it's not a complete apples to apples comparison because we've got painted stuff and that's more of a hobby to pre-paints out of the box ready to go, there are some comparisons to be made here, because think about this too. X-Wing never technically had an update. They had that new starter and they got a new damage deck back when the new movies rebooted, and that was great and that was really exciting. But since 2011, I think it was, that's like 6 or 7 years of no updates, no additional supplements you had to buy. You just buy the kit, it comes with the cards. I agree, there's a little bit of component like, hey, if you need the afterburners, or if you need, or the, not the afterburners, but if you need, you know, the twin laser turrets, you know, you need this, you need that, you got to buy ships, and then that turned into a whole secondary market thing, and that was by design. And if you play the game, you needed the cards, there was no getting around that, and that's kind of how the G-Dub side is on certain things. But it's not quite as bad when it comes to the X-Wing side of things. That's what I'm saying. X-Wing, maybe it's time to stop being mad. So real quick, we've done an unboxing of this. We showed you our thoughts on what's different from the new edition to the old edition. We are going to show you, of course, some more stuff along those lines. But let's talk about actual what is happening in the game here, right? So real quick, there's a lot more material in here that wasn't around. Now, there's definite changes between the two editions, but there's more stuff in here. There's a lot of optional rules, and I'm not sure a lot of folks have, you know, seen the stuff back here. Like, we've got new actions, some things ported over from Epic Play. It looks like you can reinforce large ships as well. The jam, nobody jams me. You've got rotate for something that we saw with the scum ships coming back into the play, and a lot of other mechanics. Of course, you can pause and read this stuff for yourself, that are coming to the fore that we haven't seen before, all in this slick little design here. Now, the reason we had, one of the reasons, I guess, this is just me talking out loud, that FFG kind of rebooted this system was perhaps because there was a little bit of bloat. And the bloat happened because there was a lot of things that had to get FAQ'd on the fly, and a lot of things that happened that maybe the playtesters didn't account for. And who remembers the U-boat? Oh my goodness. The Jump Master really turned into a thing, right? Where they had to keep issuing FAQs, and folks just kept finding new ways to become competitive with it, and it really turned into a thing. And everybody had 3 of them at that point, and then it was like, oh, well, I don't need 3, I spent all this money. And it was kind of a little bit of a sore spot with some people, and myself included. I loved playing the U-boat. I thought it was great. And then it really turned into like this huge thing, and it got out of control, which the FAQs kind of fixed that. But again, there was no reliable way to kind of bring in the clunk and bring in the clunkiness to all these rules coming out. There was no change. There was no way to change stuff on the fly. With the new rules, there will be ways to do that, and that's what I think is so ingenious about X-Wing 2.0 now, and far ingenious than anything that we play on the wargaming side. Because look at these cards. These are the upgrade cards. Do you notice something missing about these? There's no points cost on these, right? So I don't know how much my servo, I don't even know what this icon means, to be honest with you. I'm assuming it's some sort of modification, but I guess we'll find out. This obviously is some sort of force upgrade card with a slot that we don't even know. Pilot ability wise, we don't even know. I assume this is droid, and I assume this is, you know, your ordnance slot like we saw in the past. But check this out too. Not only do these cards not have points, but look over at your pilot card. There's no pilot ability slot here. I don't know what Luke Skywalker can take. I only know that he can take these because they gave me in the quick start rules into 2.0, hey, Luke can take these. But until I get that FFG squad builder app in my hand and see how many points Luke is, what upgrades he has access to, what pilot abilities he has, or how much Luke Skywalker even costs in my squad, I don't know. And the reason that is, I'm not scared. The reason that's actually a good thing is because FFG now can update the points. They can update what upgrades and pilot abilities people can take on the fly. I mean, of course they'll tell us about it, but you don't, there's no question marks, there's no updating your literature, there's no replacing your cards, there's no buying these books and having them go bad on you, when I could have just got more of a digital edition, something that Games Workshop will probably never do, because if they update, then they're not selling a $30 book to me twice in a year that has the information I need. But FFG, for the small, in my opinion, and feel free to chime in the comments below, because we all know how I like to say things sometimes, but I felt like it needed to be said. For the low investment of buying these conversion kits, you literally have everything you need, and you're going to get a free squad builder app, what I assume is free. I think they said it was free on their site, to keep track of all these things, so you don't have to. Having the cards is great, and they might get updated what they actually do in time to time, but they can have a stronger kind of control over these things based on points cost and based on what slots they go in on these cards, these pilot cards right here in the app. So think about that. That is actually very smart. Furthermore, check out how this stuff plays. Like, this is just cool. This is cool. Flying Luke Skywalker is just cool, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, because we don't even know what other upgrades he has. We don't even know what's out there. We don't know what's in those huge stack of cards I just showed you in this Gen Con pictures, right? So after you become the Defender, before dice are rolled, you may recover 1 force. He comes with 2 force. See that up caret right there? That means he gets 2 force back at the end of each turn, or excuse me, he gets 1 back up to a max of 2 at the end of each turn, so he can recharge his force. Now, some stuff that's different from before. Ordnance was never really a thing until Jump Masters made it a thing, and then it was quickly not a thing once again in 1.0. Now, in this edition, you can do cool stuff like I guess this is the new Deadeye. Instinctive Aim allows you to play, to use a force charge to ignore the focus or target lock requirement of firing of this attack. So in this case, it's a target lock. You can just say pop a force, and you can do this. And in addition, after you you fire or use your 4 dice at range 2 to 3, missile means, the missile icon there means that you don't get range bonuses, which you wouldn't at 2, but your defender won't get a defense bonus at 3. You can change 1 hit to a critical, and those criticals that I showed you in that last video, I didn't realize it at the time until I played, and some of them got flipped on me. They are dirty. You thought direct hit was bad? Wait till you see some of the ones in there. Obviously, you probably already know about it, but oof, there's some savage stuff in there. So do not get a face-up card. You will not enjoy that for the most part. They are just as dirty as they are in Armada. So another cool thing here is, obviously we have some new slots. I guess this is force ability, and I guess this is some sort of modification. We'll know soon enough. Before you activate, there's all sorts of like flowchart things you have to do. So first off, before you activate, you can flip this card. And by flipping it, you gain the boost ability, or you get the linked ability where you can focus into a red boost. Okay, so that's kind of cool. If your S-foils are closed, you technically move faster, but you fire less dice because you don't have that field of fire, so to speak, that range of fire that the X on the S-foils would actually convey. Now, after you do that, after you reveal your dial, you can spend 1 charge token here to gain 1 disarm token, so you couldn't fire, and you get to recover a shield. So not only that, but Luke himself has force charge. So Luke can, if he's fired at and you don't have a focus dice, you don't have a focus available to you, he actually has, or he can change 1 dice, a single, to an evade or something like that. So he's got some play where he can change things even if you don't have the token itself. That's that force ability. Here, just to give you a better idea of what I was talking about. Force charges work a little differently. if you don't have a focus token, but you have focus showing on your dice, either during the attack step or the defense dice, you can change them to evades or a hit. That probably explains it a little bit better right there, what I was trying to say. So there's some really interesting mechanics in 2.0 of what you can do. You can gain a boost, you know, in your flowchart kind of flow here. You can target lock, of course. You can barrel roll. You can do all sorts of things. You can kind of bust out and not shoot at something, get additional movement, get a shield back, buff Luke by using his force powers, making, I mean, I had super fun playing the X-Wing itself, and X-Wings really didn't get to see play in the game called X-Wing for the longest time. So that's just one of my many thoughts, none of which I'm going to get into for the rest of the video here as far as that goes, but I really enjoyed playing X-Wing 2.0 and actually seeing how the mechanics are going to work with the Squad Builder app, and being able to point your stuff out and them being FFG to make changes on the fly really kind of opens up potential for more cool combinations, but also to keep the kind of abuse and the, you know, FAQs and the changes down to a minimum, but also minimizing their impact throughout the game. Now, there's nothing saying that you have to convert over to X-Wing 2.0. You can play 1.0 all you want, but going forward, the ships aren't going to come with 1.0 equipment. You know, tournaments are probably going to be 2.0. So feel free to forge your own narrative, playing on the kitchen table and stuff like that. You can have a blast still playing what you know. But for going down to the game store, eventually, I think most folks might switch over to the new 2.0, especially when we get all of this stuff in our hot little hands this September and actually get our eyes on the Squad Builder app, which looks, from the sound of it, to really have an equalizing potential on the tabletop for this game. So I am super stoked, and I haven't been super stoked about X-Wing in a very long time. So I can't wait to get through all these conversion kits, come up with some new ideas for all of my ships and stuff like that. And remember too, even if the Squad Builder app is not out, which I don't think it currently is right now, depending on when this video drops, there is still a points PDF for both pilots and all of the upgrade cards available right now from FFG. So if you pick the stuff up at Gen Con, or you happen to have a preview copy or something like that, you can find out more about what the stuff is actually going to cost you, so that hopefully that can help your early games until everything is more mainstream and we all have access to all of that information. So rant off. I'm trying to bring a positive message to everybody out there being so negative about X-Wing 2.0. I'm excited, and I am a filthy casual when it comes to this game. So hopefully that has motivated you as well to give it a second try, or at least give it a first look when it comes out at your local game store. So if you like these type of videos here on the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.